Jalen, defensively, how tough is this to pick up what they're again going to be? Is it a tough scheme to pick up?
Nah, honestly, I feel like it's the same defensive concepts everywhere. Ever since I was in high school, we still do the same shell drill, same rotations. Like, it's all the same to me, honestly. It's nothing really too much different. A little things here and there, a little terminology differences, but that's about it. Generally, it's like all the same. I feel like.
Big difference on offense?
Offense, I say, just knowing the spots. A lot of spots are interchangeable, so just knowing where to be. If someone's in my spot, just knowing I can go over here and still. Just knowing each spot, honestly, on offense, that'll help us go a long way.
You were pretty comfortable Sunday. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, I was pretty comfortable, just ready to play. We've been playing against each other for a couple of weeks now, for a long time actually. So, yeah, I was just out there comfortable, ready to play.
What have you learned about Jakob from the week playing together and then the game playing, the week playing against one another and then the game playing with him?
You know, playing against him, he's a monster. It's hard to control him down there. You know, screens, you're not gonna get over him as easy as you think. You can hit him anywhere in the paint, he's gonna finish. Great touch around the rim, just great touch in general. So, you know, he's been a great addition.
What have you learned with Dennis, just like playing with him? How would you kind of describe his game? And I'm not sure if you watched the World Cup at all this summer, but just kind of those, you know, European basketball aspects, if you see any of that in his game in a year or two.
I just know he's gonna get the ball off the court, and if you're open, he's gonna find you. You know, just cuts. He always telling me to cut, run the floor. He's like, bro, I'm gonna give it to you. If you're open, I'm gonna find you. So. That's one great thing about him. He's going to find the open man. You know, he doesn't try to do too much. He gets to his spot. So that's what I've seen from him so far.
In terms of like his leadership style, he's one of the older guys on this team. How would you describe him as just like a voice in the locker room?
I'd say like more lead by example. He says a little. It's early still, you know. So I really can't really answer that. But he says stuff here and there, you know, just giving out pointers and stuff like that. So that's about it right now. It's only training camp, so it's got a long time.
Is there anyone that's kind of standing out as a Bolton already?
I mean, Pascal, Scotty. I mean, those guys has already been here. You know, this is them. You know, so I'm a new guy, so that's what I'm walking in and seeing since I've been here. You know, so yeah.
So what kind of opportunity were you looking for when you were free agency this summer? Why do you think this was a good fit?
I would say just the team. I feel like a lot of guys on this team have, in my type of body or whatever, my type of player like me have excelled here. So you feel me? I feel like the development was one thing, and just them just allowing me to be myself and going out there and playing with no pressure, stuff like that, just being myself.
Is there any like big differences between this team and any other previous teams you've played for or been on in your career?
I mean, it's all different, but I feel like just the basketball piece is all the same for me. I don't be trying to like do too much. I just keep it the same. I play the same game everywhere I go, so that's just me. I feel like I'm a chameleon, can blend in many places, so that's just who I am.
So. Darko has talked about having 1 through 4 Are there areas in that spectrum that you feel more comfortable in, or how do you feel about that?
That's fine. That's something I looked at while coming here. You know, they're very versatile. You know, not everybody, but Scotty brings the ball up. Pascal, LG, like I can do the same thing. So you know, what he's talking about, that versatility, just be able to interchange at each spot. So you feel me? I feel like I just got that in me as well.
You feel defensively covering guards, covering bigger guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel comfortable. Been doing it my whole career, so 1 through 4, 1 through 5, or whatever it is, like take the challenge, compete. So
there's a big break between the games. Is that a benefit for you to like get to know this team, or is it maybe a hindrance that you don't get real game time?
I mean, it's a benefit. You know, practice time, get our plays in, get our defensive sets, get our defensive coverages and stuff like that. Just all comfortable with everybody. You know. So, you know, these practice days, it's long days, but, you know, it's going to make us better in the end.
I know opening night's a long way away, but it's a good night for them.
Honestly, I don't even look at it like that. It's another game. My brother's been in the NBA for a couple of years now. We played against each other so many times. It's for my family, it is, like, everybody comes or whatever, but...
Do they make it for all those?
Yeah, for a few of them, probably only missed, like, one, but... yeah, for the family, it's a big thing. But me and my bro, like, bro, it's just another game. We're gonna see each other, like, you know, so it's cool.
You wear a split jersey?
So, actually, my mom did last time. That's what's funny. That's funny you said that.
You play on a couple different pitches. What's it do to have guys like that almost 30 years in the locker room?
You know, you can just go to them for anything you're talking about. They just already experienced it, like being in the different NBA facilities, just being in the NBA for 15, 17, 13 years, you know, so you can go to them for anything, life, tips, anything, like, so it's just great to have it.
And we were looking at this, you know, obviously for a guy in your situation, swings throw a lot of times these days is how well you can shoot the three. And, you know, what steps do you need to take to go from being a good three-point shooter to making that a real weapon?
You know, just locking in on the mechanics when I'm out there, just always staying ready to shoot. It's just the little things, honestly, just staying ready to shoot, being low. And of course, just always getting the reps up before or after practice, coming back later, stuff like that. But during the game, just staying shot ready, give your best chance to make the shot. You know, you're not going to make all of them, but having the best chance is always better.
What stands out to you about Coach Darko so far?
Coach Darko, he got a lot of energy, you know, brings a lot of energy. You know, he expects a lot from us. And I feel like, you know, he just brings a lot of energy. He brings good energy, positive vibes, you know. So he's likable. So.
When it comes to like creating a culture and like a new identity for this team, obviously a new team. Obviously there's the stars, but guys like Thad, Otto, and Garrett, like guys who've been in this league. What do they kind of provide when it comes to stuff like that?
I mean, a lot of leadership, a lot of experience. There's different roles for everybody on this team. Like some of the younger guys are expected to bring the energy every day. Like some of the older guys come in with, like I said, the leadership, the experiences, the know-how, teaching effects, stuff like that.
When you came over last year, you commented on how different the defense was, both to when you were here previously and what you were doing in San Antonio. Does this seem closer to what you've been doing more regularly in your career?
I'd say it's somewhere like a happy medium. Yeah. I mean, I think still us, just the type of players we have, we're not going to get away from that aggressive identity, and I think it's good for us. It's good for our defense, but it's a little bit more controlled, I would say, a little bit more reserved at times, maybe. A little bit less of a gambling effect than we might have had last year.
Does that mean does it feel like you're moving less or shooting the gaps, whatever it might be, less than in the previous system, or does it really not impact you until everybody's inside, until there's good penetration?
I mean, for me, it doesn't make that big a difference, especially because even last year I kind of adapted the aggressive play style to my own play style, so I wasn't out there as hyper aggressive as Scotty or OG might have been, because obviously they got other like abilities and strengths than I do. So for me, it's not too much of a learning curve. It's more or less the same thing.
Yeah. On Media Day, you spoke about the need for time and lots of practice to build chemistry for screens and pick and rolls. Does the week between preseason games help with that, or do you like want to have some game time to get like real game situations?
I mean, I think everybody gets more or less the same amount of preseason games, so it doesn't really matter when or where you have those preseason games. Like, we're going to get the live experience in against other teams. We're also going to get the experience in practice mode against our teammates. So I think either way is fine.
Would you say you're building that chemistry?
Yeah. I think for me personally, like, I've always been the type of player who I feel like I learn a lot from real playing experiences. I feel like that's where I make the most improvements, I guess you could say. But even in training camp and now in these practices, like, we're building for sure.
What have been your impressions of Darko so far through camp and now?
Very positive. Seems to have a very high know-how, just understanding of basketball, understanding of what the modern NBA is like. And even on a personal level, I've been getting along great with him. Had some good conversations with him. We got a serious practice environment, I guess, but he still finds a way to make it enjoyable, crack a joke here or there. So it's been good.
Is that rare in the NBA? Are other coaches not always so positive?
I mean, I haven't had that many coaches. I feel like I've had pretty good coaches though, like as well in San Antonio with Pop, as well as like in my years here in Toronto. I've had coaches that have found that balance pretty well, and I think Darko's doing a similarly good job.
With Darko in the past, he's talked about how like turnovers are sometimes okay, and I'm wondering, like you guys had a lot of turnovers, obviously a preseason game, but I'm wondering what he said about that balance between like passing and turning over.
He hasn't even mentioned it. So I mean, obviously we had a few turnovers. I think those are, yeah, like I said, learning experiences though. Like it's about trying to play the right way, trying to make those reads. Like obviously turnovers are going to happen, but as the more experience we get, hopefully the more we can limit those turnovers. But we can't be afraid to try and make the right pass, make the right play.
Energy, positivity, those are all words that have been used over the past week with all the guys. But does anything feel different about this preseason in comparison to any preseason that you've had?
It's a little bit different in the sense that everybody's learning a new system. Like usually, like the teams I've been a part of, there's like a few guys that come in and they're trying to learn a new system, and there's a bunch of guys on the team that have been doing it for a while and that can kind of teach the way. This is an experience, like my first experience with a brand new coaching staff, where everybody's trying to learn new things. On this, like that also brings, I feel like, a different type of energy though, because I feel like everybody is kind of wanting to prove themselves maybe a little bit more. Nobody seems to be. I feel like sometimes guys get kind of comfortable in their role, so I don't see that really at all in anybody's demeanor or like the way we've been running practice. So yeah, I think those are a couple of differences.
Again, getting back to the defense, if you're being a little bit more conservative in your coverages or maybe the approach to those coverages, does it allow you to? Does it mean you have less fires to put out at the rim? Like, does it mean you can be more aggressive in your own coverage because you know that there's less gambling going on? You don't have to always be worried about breakdowns, or?
Not really. I mean, it's going to be very much depending on the situation. I think we're still going to be a team. Like every team is going to have breakdowns. Like it might be a little bit less than we had on the aggressiveness that we had the last couple of years, but then on the same hand, sometimes we had random help from a wing instead of the big coming to help. So like there's going to be situations. I think the main difference is it seems or it feels a little bit more structured so far. It's still going to come down to, I mean, at the end of the day, defense is about hustle and like just giving a second, third, fourth effort. And I think we showed pretty big potential. I mean, in the last couple of years, obviously, but also in that game against the Kings, that we can do that very well.
Second quarter was really good.
There's been a lot of talk about the passing you're going to have to do in this role, but there's also going to be a lot of DHOs, which I guess is a type of passing, but also screening obviously comes into play. What are the keys? Because obviously it's pretty easy to get called for moving in that situation. What are the keys to setting a good positive screen without going over the line in that situation?
I'd say the biggest key is to get through the first couple of weeks of the season. It's a very popular call early on in the season. Other than that, just finding a way to make it, honestly, it comes down to making it look as good as possible. Like trying to find a way to set a good screen without having the guard like just completely run into you or like fall over or whatever. Like those are usually indicators that it might be even a legal screen, but it just looks bad, and like you're gonna get a reaction call out of a ref. So just make.
How do you get a guard not to fall over?
I mean,
like you're not trying to blow the guy out.
In a way, you're trying to just get the guard a step or two of an advantage. You're not really trying to like knock the guy out. Yeah, and then just trying to find that balance. Obviously, like every game's going to be different, so sometimes you're going to get calls that you don't like, and on other days you might get away with one or two. So just reading a game as it goes and then making the most of it.
With Dennis, I'm not sure how much of the World Cup you watched this summer, but what are there any aspects of his game like that he brings here to the Raptors that you would kind of see as like European or like FIBA centric, and kind of how does that mesh into Darko's system? He comes from a similar background.
I mean, it's one of those things where I think guys like Dennis and like a lot of European guys are probably similar. Obviously not everybody, but Dennis is going to adjust his play style depending on if he plays in a FIBA rule set, in a FIBA environment compared to an NBA environment. So I think his play style is going to be different with us and our team than it was with the national team. So, I mean, obviously there's going to be some carryover. There's going to be some things that he learned because he grew up in Europe in a different type of basketball school, I guess you could say. But yeah, I don't know. Ask him. I'm sure he can tell you.
Thank you.
How is Precious doing today? We saw him shooting.
Doing much better. He's feeling better. He did a little bit of the work today on the court. He did a great job in treatments and weight room, so he's progressing really well.
How about Otto? We didn't see him in the scrimmage or the game. We didn't hear of any new injuries. So is there a plan to get him into games before the season starts?
Hopefully. Today was the day he played 3-on-3 live against some younger guys on the roster. He did really well today, so hopefully we're going to see him in the preseason.
And I was just going to say, in keeping with all the talk about injuries, I mean, Christian's, the ones that you guys, or the respiratory problem that you talked about on media day, is that something that could be career-threatening, or is that something like, can he overcome this? Like, it's just sort of vague right now.
And we'll keep it that way for now.
It's going to stay vague.
Yes.
In terms of your defensive performance against the Kings, you had, I think it was like 13 deflections in the second quarter or something. Is that a number, do you have a number in mind that you're really pursuing? Do you have goals in that respect, and why, if so, why?
Do you have a mic in our coaches' meetings? Yes, absolutely. We talked about it. We're still looking at our team and where we need to be. We're playing around that number, and in this game we had 31 deflections, and our goal, something that we're going to try to achieve in every game, is going to be around 32 deflections.
And just because that's like, what's an average? Do you know what a roughly league average for deflections is?
It's not 32, and it's not close to that number. Okay. But our length and our speed, and just like our aggressiveness, allows us to do that. In the first half only, Pascal had 6 deflections, and we pointed it out to our team. We started the game having only 2 in the first quarter. We had 13 in the second. You're right about that. So that's something definitely that we're gonna focus on.
In terms of your approaches, your schemes, how do you always find that balance between going all out, 4 steals, passing lanes, being very aggressive, and not getting caught out of position?
For sure. For me, deflections are not necessarily part of gambling. It's how we pressure the ball. It's how we're guarding DHOs. It's our active hands in pick and rolls. It's not necessarily going all out and just to try to go for steals. We're not going for steals. We're going for deflections. And those are coming inside our team schemes.
Sticking on the defensive end, with Jakob, he's maybe not the best rim protector, but very good at it. And he's maybe not the fastest center, but he's pretty nimble for that size. How do you want him playing within that system? Do you really want him sticking by the rim, or does he have a bit more leeway to come out and help on, screens or whatever the situation may be?
For majority of our screening situations, we will not demand him to go out and overhelp, especially like off-ball screens or DHOs. We want to keep him kind of like in the same line with the rollers to keep him closer to the rim. But definitely there will be situations and adjustments that will go and switch 1 through 5. So that's going to get him outside 3-point line.
What do you see as his greatest strength defensively?
He know how. He's really good at positioning himself. As you said, he's pretty quick, but not the quickest. Pretty athletic, but not the best athlete. He just knows how to position himself really well, to use his hands to protect the rim. That's his strength.
Dennis, you guys have talked about how you guys kind of immediately clicked on a personal level. early on. I'm wondering stylistically, do you think there's anything to the fact that you both have backgrounds in European basketball that made that mesh stylistically easier for the two of you?
Probably. I did not think about that in those terms, but probably yes. You know, in Europe, from youngest age, we trying to coach and teach players how to play with pace, how to play with a lot of passing. We're actually teaching a lot of passing. So that's kind of like the style majority of the teams in Europe play. So probably has something to do with that as well.
Coach, kind of having a broader view in a few days now to watch back the game, kind of what stands out to you in terms of the big points that you liked and then stuff that you want to clean up? I'm sure turnovers might have been one of them, but...
So today we had a video that we showed defense and focused a lot on cleanup defensively, stuff that we need to do a better job of, from closing the gap, from not allowing any looseness on defense, just so we can play with our length and physicality. Tomorrow is going to be a heavy offensive day, and we're just learning. There is so much for us. Like in the middle of the game, I liked our performance for the moments of it, but watching film, I liked it even more, but I found even more like mistakes and opportunities for us to grow. So we're just at the beginning of long journey.
Do you find that they're picking everything up pretty fast, though?
For the biggest part, we're not also going heavy with information and overloading, but for now, guys, they're doing a really good job. I'm very happy how coachable they are.
On the subject of passing, in the past, you've spoken like in a podcast form about like how you're okay with turnovers at times. So I'm wondering if you could just talk about your philosophy with that, the balance between making a lot of passes, but also like, are you okay with turnovers in some situations?
And if you look at teams that won championships and really move the ball, turnover is going to happen. You know, you cannot play with big number of passes and everybody cutting and moving without making mistakes. Obviously, we need to take care of the ball. We need to do a better job of taking care of the ball, and that's going to come with better execution, with better understanding of schemes, with guys playing more with each other. You know, in this game, a lot of times it happened that they denied us, and we did not have good counter to that. And that's something that we talked about it today, and in the practice, guys started punishing defense on those situations. So it's a process. It's going to take some time, but San Antonio, when they were winning championships, they were in the middle of pack with turnovers. They were not the best or the worst, but they were in the middle of pack. Same thing with Golden State. So we want to be able to move the ball, and you know, occasionally it's going to come with some cost.
It seems like you guys have a new three-point line extra deep on the court. I don't think it was here last year. Is that something that you wanted? Are you wanting these guys to take logo threes occasionally? Is that...
That's just to confuse media, you know. No, we put that line just for our spacing, to help with our spacing, not necessarily for us to take shots from there. It's not to take shots there. It's just like where our offensive positioning on offense needs to start.
And when it comes to Jeff, a guy we didn't see the other night, what have you seen from him so far, training camp, I guess, and what do you see his future?
Jeff is a very hard worker. He is amazing competitor. I feel bad for him for not being able to play in a summer league. I thought that he lost a little bit of momentum there, but since then he's doing an amazing job. He had a great open gym, great 3 weeks in LA. He's just the guy that brings it every single day, and you know, we like Jeff a lot.
Is it helpful to you to have a week between games and a full week of practice to institute your new system? Like, is that nice to have all that practice time?
It is, especially like in my first year. There is a lot of things that we need to get better at and clean up. So having a little bit of extra time between those games, it does help us.
We were talking to Jalen. What have you seen from him so far, and what did you see from him in particular on Sunday that you liked?
I thought that he started the game a little bit slow, like our whole team, but that he found a niche during the game. I really like his defense, the way he's ability to get deflections, ability to get over the screens, to change shots. And offensively, I think there is another layer to his game. And I think that he can be a very, very good cutter, especially inside of our system, the way we want to play. I think he's a good three-point shooter and somebody who can continue to develop. I think he's already a really good player, but I expect from him to take it to another level.